Record. Hey Antonio, this is Sean. Taking a look at your walk cycle. So the main issue we got to solve, I mentioned this, I think we talked about this a little bit, but I told you I'd show you how to do it, is you're moving the root here instead of the character walking forward. And what that ends up doing is it makes it really hard to get the foot to like lock down in place, and it gets these like weird, see how it's like forward, backward. I'm looking at this foot. It has this like little, and then it like snaps back a little bit on the walk. It's just not solid on the ground. And whenever that happens, you just lose any illusion of weight on your characters like really quickly, right? And that's mostly happening because you're moving this forward on this curve and then moving this one backwards while the foot is planted. This was a thing in video games for quite a while, but I think we've all collectively, I guess at least the pros have moved on from this. And that's sort of why this exists in the first place. Okay, so hopefully I can explain this in a way that you can get. There it is. So this curve here, it's moving around a little bit because we have to sort of animate both of these curves at the same time, because if you change one, the other one affects itself. So it makes it really, really hard to get the feet to lock down, to the point where I don't recommend ever doing this in your work. There's very little reason for it. There are some instances where you can use this route to solve a lot of problems with animation, but for the most part, you want to avoid using this and just animate it. You just have way more control when you're polishing. So I want to get that out of there and not have to redo the whole animation, because nobody wants to do that. But I think this is a pretty good walk cycle, and it's super commendable that you got it looking this good with this setup. So I'm going to start by grabbing the shoes. What are our knees doing? Are they just moving with? They're kind of moving with it. I'm going to scooch these out just to make my life easier. So I'm going to grab the shoes, the root, the hips, click this guy over here to make a new animation layer. So that has the base layer and then the new layer. And it only put the objects that I selected in that layer. And then I'll set a key on the first frame. Then I'll go to the end of the animation. I'll move that back to 0. Well, it looks like we weren't at 0 at the start, so make it 0 at the start, and then try and like line this guy. I think I might be able to press 0 again. Cool. And then, so there's some wobbles in there. I'll start by, to get rid of the wobbles, make this linear, because the character should be walking linearly. But now I'm still getting some wobbles. But, oh, now we're going to take the hips and the shoes and move them back forward. I think I keyed this on accident. Now what I'm trying to do is more or less counter animate on the layer. I'm just toggling the two layers, kind of like if you use Photoshop, it's the same concept. So it matches. So now that I'm toggling this, the only difference really is the main root control there. And then that's off. So now I'm getting some sliding, right? It's a little bit uneven. This is a test that doesn't always work. I'm going to try on the base layer. I'm just going to, oh, your animation starts at 1. So I'm going to make sure the layer starts at 1. That might help a little. I'm trying to get out any, if I can get out any wobbles now, I'm going to do it. And then I'll grab on the base layer, the translate, and then what happens if we just make this linear? Does it get better or worse? It's worse. Okay, so now that I did that, this is kind of as close as we can get it. I'm going to merge this down, merge layers. You're going to want to do this. When you do the merge layers, undo. You want to set Smart Bake, this guy. So if the default settings doesn't use Smart Bake, it'll just key every single frame in your animation. Smart Bake only keys things that have keys. So now it just collapsed everything down. Now there's only a little bit of movement on the root, and the character is walking forward. So, and I don't want the root animated, so I'm going to delete it, delete it. I'm going to lock the root down. Bam. Okay, so now we can go in and fix your animation and clean that up. I'll start with Z forward, which is linear. I was a little bit surprised to see that. The character is walking, so it won't be a linear walk. It'll be more like this. But there should be some natural variation in the walk that we'll work on as we're getting through the animation. And then we're going to do, let's try here from the beginning. We want shoes to, I did this in the tutorial, but a lot of people made the same mistake. You want to roll on the first step. You want to roll on the heel so it plants. And then you want the foot to be in the same position. And then we want to get rid of the wobble. See, the wobbles from this, see the curve's like a little bit uneven. I'm going to fix that by grabbing everything, grabbing all the curves, hitting auto curve. Okay, so now that we did the heel instead, the heel just kind of pops down nice and clean. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back foot, but I'm going to roll the toe forward. Whoa! Roll the toe forward, zero that out. I have a hotkey to zero things out, but I'll do it manually. You just click up here, hit 0. Okay. That gets zeroed out because we want the foot to be nice and flat. Uh-oh, I broke something. Undo. I think I copied everything and not just the foot earlier. Yeah, I did. I just wanted to copy the foot, but I copied the whole rig. Undo is your friend. Okay, here we go. Roll the toe up. Maybe there's still some roll here. This is the down, so actually, maybe not the toe yet. Down position, you just do some back foot. And then, oh, I see. You're missing a down. That's the passing, that's the up. Yeah, you're missing the down. Okay. All right, well, let's just let's clean this up a little bit so we get back to where we were. And then, so this is sort of like a halfway point between, oh, okay, the toe wasn't keyed. Did I break that? I don't know. Okay, I think you're not keying the toe. So I'm gonna grab the whole rig and I'm just gonna period through and key the whole thing. That way I know there's a key on every frame. So that's probably okay for now. And then we don't want any sliding on the shoe there. So I'll middle mouse drag 9. No sliding there either. 13. No sliding there either. 17. And then that's the lift. I'm going to just roll the toe instead. And then we're going to lift up and then contact position. And then the same thing. So that's the up. Yeah, you're missing the down. That's a big pose. We'll look at it in your reference in a sec here. Oh, whoops. Oh, 21 is the key pose. That's the kick. I think you're just combining. Oh no, this is your kick. That's your contact. That's your down. Okay, here we go. Contact, were like heels on the ground, and then down. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to flatten this. The reason I flatten, because you see how the heel kind of swims a little bit? I want it to be nice and solid, so we're going to zero that out. I'll just translate that back. No, that didn't work. There we go. Now it's holding still. There we go. See, it's not swimming around. It's just kind of, if you look at the back heel on the green foot, it's just kind of super structured and solid, and then down. And then the passing position, we don't want any sliding. And then the up, we don't want any sliding. And then again on the last shoe, last pose, we don't want any sliding. That's your contact.
We're looking for your tarot card, Dad.
Oh, good. Thank you, Sally. Okay, cool. So now we essentially converted your walk cycle over to a point where shoe from the beginning earlier, it was like really hard. Even if I took the old setup and tried to lock it down, it would be really hard for me. But in this case, it's super easy to get really nice, solid, not sliding around shoes. And then I can take this and really polish and clean up the animation from here. And then we can start cleaning your anim up in a lot more like reasonable way. Oh, it looks like you're translating the hips. That's okay. That's probably why I wasn't seeing a lot of keys on the hips. I think that's okay. I usually don't translate hips, but you technically can. But I think we should just leave it here. That's interesting. Is that what's? Oh yeah.
Look on my chin, it's all wet.
What is going on here? Is this being translated?
Whoa, your cheeks are wet.
I'm noticing some interesting, like, oh, are you moving this down too? Oh, you're moving these two together. Oh, that's interesting. I think this is technically not incorrect. It just threw me off because they're moving separately from the spine. So I was trying to figure out what you're doing, but that's fine. I think that's fine. We'll have to figure that out though, because as we're animating, you're fighting if you do the up and down on the hips and the rib cage, you're fighting the up and down on the actual hips. So it's the same issue as before where you've got like, you're fighting these two curves. And then, so that's the up. So I think technically this curve looks fairly correct already. I haven't really messed with it. But this one looks weird. I wonder what happens if we just delete it and zero it back out. That might be what we should do. And then maybe we should have it was lower. It was like that. Maybe I did the up and down and it was like already at 0 when the scene started. Anyway, I would say get this back to this point and then we'll do full credit for this assignment. And if you want, let me know and I'll give you some more notes on the walk. Maybe it'd be helpful to do some like twist in the rib cage if you wanted. Like for walking, like going back and forth like this, or you could do the twist on the spine bones, or you just go back and whatever makes it easier. That's just a polish thing, but you don't have to do that. But really, for sure, let's get rid of the movement on this. I think this is a pretty important component to a walk cycle. All right, well, good luck. Let me know if you have trouble, you want to go over this together, because I know it's kind of complicated. It's a lot of steps. All right, see ya, Antonio.